Good morning, y'all. Happy Sunday. I'm Madison from Mad Lips Designs. I hope y'all are having a blessed weekend with your families and friends. And today we are going to be creating my small patchwork reversible door bow. It can be paired with my medium-sized door bow if you want the layered look, or even on the kitchen cabinets or in the center of the wreaths on your door. I hope you enjoy the tutorial. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. And please like and subscribe to my channel, Mad Lips Designs. It really helps out. And let me know what y'all want to do for the next one. I hope you enjoy. Have a great day. I've chosen this beautiful pumpkin design, brown plaid, this beautiful flowers, and an orange. So this is going to be my color scheme. You're going to take each of your fabrics and we're going to cut 5-inch by 5-inch squares. You're going to need 6 of each color. Now you should have 6 fabrics of each. So we have 4 fabrics, 6 squares of each. We're gonna need a piece that is 9.5 by 26.5. We're gonna need 2 pieces of that size. This is only about 20, but I wanna make my other side Christmas. So I'm gonna add on to the sides to make this what I want it to be. I'm going to cut four more inches. So I'm going to add about 3 inches to each side, just to give me enough, and then I'm going to cut it to the right size. So we are going to cut a strip that's 9.5 inches. I have sewn those on and pressed my seams open flat, and it should be 9.5. We need to make it 9.5 by 26 inches. I'm gonna fold this over and find my middle. My middle should be at the 13 mark. I'm gonna cut it at 26 and 1. That way it is 26 inches. So we're going to cut just a little bit off of each end, like so, and line it up at your 0 mark here. And now you have a piece that is 9.5 by 26 inches. And that can be, this one is going to be for my bow. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. And I'm going to cut another piece of this fabric at the same size, 9.5 by 26 inches. This right here to be towards the center. So with directional fabric, you want to make sure that you are cutting the right way, because you want the words to be facing long ways, not this way. So I'm gonna cut it. Now you should have all your fabric cut. You have your 2 center pieces at 2.5 by 8 inches each. You have your tail piece, and your bow piece at 9.5 by 26 inches each. And you have your 6 pieces of each color of your fabric. You should have 4 colors and 6 pieces. Now we need to cut our interfacing. Once you have your interfacing cut at 10 inches by 30 inches, you're going to start with your bow. You're going to take the bubbly side facing up, and you're going to place the wrong side of your fabric to the bubbly side. You're just going to place them however you like. You end up with 3 of each. You can move them around as much as you want to. Try to match up your 4 corners the best you can and keep them in a straight line going down. Once you have your pieces how you like them, make sure your directional is all going the same way. You're going to press and I like to lightly do circles when I'm at the back side of it, just to really smooth out any bubbles. I'm going to let it cool, and when it's done cooling, you will begin to sew your rows. And how we sew the rows is we take our first piece where these line up and flip it over each other like so. Then you're going to sew along with a 3/8 seam allowance here. Then you're going to move to your next row, making sure you're lined up on the top and the bottom, and you're going to sew. And you're going to keep doing this to each row until you have all of them sewn. And for the tail piece, you're going to need another piece that is 10 inches by 30 inches. I am out of interfacing, so we're going to kind of Frankenstein our pieces together with little strips. The Frankenstein pieces, you want to make sure they overlap. The bubbly side is up on each piece. You want to make sure they overlap about 1/2 inch or so. Just try to keep them lined up the best you can. And we're just going to Frankenstein them together. It's very important that you make sure they overlap though. That way they will actually stick to each other. Because if they're not overlapped, it's just going to fall off. Now for the tail, you're going to do the same thing, but you want to make sure that 3 rows of your directional fabric are facing to the end, and the other 3 rows are facing to the other end. So instead of doing it like this, I'm turning it and doing it like this. you're at your halfway point. So now my direction is going to go the other way. So I have a directional, and it's going to face the opposite way. Make sure your corners line up. And we're gonna go again and making sure these are all connected because we Frankensteined it there. I'm just gonna kind of go up and down. Just making sure those seams are good and stuck. We work with what we have. And I wanted to get this video out to y'all. So this is what we are having to do. But at the end, it should be 10 by 30. So and let's check it out. 10 by 30. And you're gonna sew this the same exact way. You're going to flip it over on itself and sew. Flip it over on itself and sew, making sure you're even with each square every time you flip it. So I will meet you back at the sewing machine. You are going to take it and fold it, making sure you're even at the top and the bottom, and place it under your foot, needle down, line it up with the edge of your sewing machine. You're going to take a few stitches, back stitch, and then you're going to sew all the way down. When you get to your end, you're going to back stitch and go right hand back stitch and sew along the whole row. When you come to your end, do a front and back stitch again. And you're going to do this along the whole thing. I will come back to. We are going to sew the rest of this. We fold each one and sew along every row. Now that we have all the rows done, we are going to take it over and cut our seams. I will meet you back. You want to cut in between the two colors right here on each of the rows. Be careful not to cut your seam where you sewn. Just gently snip them. Once you have all of yours snipped and separated, you're going to iron them down. Place one row one way, like so, the other row the opposite way. So you're going to have this. Once you have it pressed where they're opposite directions of each other, you're going to take it and fold it in half. This will nestle your seams to make it less bulky. You're going to take it and sew all the way down. You're going to do that to both panels. Now that you have it sewn all the way down, you're going to flip it open and iron it flat. Now you should have two pieces that are 9.5 by 26.5. Or sorry, 9.5 by 26. Both your pieces. If you haven't already, add interfacing to the opposite side of your bow. I am out of interfacing, so we are not going to use it on mine. We're going to see if it will work without interfacing it. But ideally, you want to put interfacing on the back side of all of your pieces. And in order for me to get the tutorial out, we cannot do that today. So this is my bow piece. You're going to go pretty side to pretty side. You're going to sew it long ways. I will meet you back here after I sew this seam. I had to sew it. Now I'm going to open up my seam. Now you have one piece of fabric. You're going to take it, fold it, matching up your seams here. Matching up both seams. Making sure it is the same one on both sides. Now you're going to sew this seam and iron it again. Now that we have the seam sewn, I like to put that seam in the middle before I iron it, and open the seam up. Now you're going to take that seam and flip it over backwards. You're going to pull the two fabrics that are facing you up, leaving your seam. You're going to grab that middle seam that you created with the other middle seam, pushing the fabrics down. Make these kiss in the middle, just like that. So your seam is matching all the way around, and then I will meet you back to the sewing machine. When you're sewing these two seams together, you're going to make sure you're not messing with the inner layer here. So you're doing the outside layer only. You're going to take it nice and slow. This is called the seamless headband method, and it will get easier as you understand what you're doing. So I like to start a little bit before the seam. Front and back stitch. And as you go, you pull your inner layer through your tube. You just go a little at a time. make sure your needle is down and pull a little bit of your fabric at a time. When you get back to the beginning, you want to make sure you leave a good 3-inch gap for turning. Now that you have it all sewn, you're going to find where you left your gap, and you're going to pull, gently pull it out. Now you should have a tube. That is your fall on one side and your Christmas on the other. You need to roll your seams and iron. Now you're going to take it to your sewing machine and do a top stitch around both sides of your circle. Now you should have your full bow piece done. And we're going to work on the tail now. For your tail, you're going to fold it in half, go up on your seam 4 inches, make a line. You're going to do the same to this side. So you're going to go up 4 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and draw a line. You're going to take your ruler from your corner to the inner seam of the line you just drawn. You're going to draw a line from the spot to the corner on both sides. Give you the drawn darts that you need for your bow. So you take your other fabric, pretty side to pretty side, place them together. In the middle, you're going to leave a gap for turning. And leave that open. I'm just going to place a few more clips just to keep it where it needs to be. So you're going to start right here, sew all the way down, pivot, follow your blue line that you created, and go all the way around. You're going to make sure you leave a gap, front and back stitch, when you start and stop. You're going to sew all the way around it, and when you get to your edge, your little corner, you're going to stop with your needle down before you pivot. You're going to stop before the blue line, pivot it, and you're following your line that you created all the way to the peak. And stop. You're going to follow your line back down. leaving about a 3-inch gap. Cut right beside where you've sewn. Away all that extra fabric on both sides. You want to reduce your bulk of your seam by cutting right beside your stitch line. You're going to do the center too. You're going to cut into it and right beside it. You're going to do that on all your corners. Now that you have it all sewn around, you're going to go through the hole you created. I like to put my finger through each point and grab it and push it out. You're going to turn the whole piece around. Now take your chopstick or whatever you like to turn with and gently poke out your corners. Almost done. Now you are going to iron it and do a top stitch. Now that you have it all ironed out, you're going to sew a top stitch all the way around. When you're doing a top stitch, you want your length at a longer length. I like to use a 4.0 or a 4.5. Now you want to take your 2 pieces for your center and iron on interfacing to the wrong side of both pieces. To sew your pieces, you do pretty side to pretty side. And you're going to leave a gap for turning it back around. Now you're going to iron it again and top stitch. You need a 2-inch D-ring like this, your center, your tail, and your bow piece. I like to lay mine out, bow piece on top, and line them up like this. Go ahead and put your D-ring through your center strap. You want to start from the top and just gather it up like a little accordion and work your way all the way down until it's all nice and accordioned. And then you slip your center over it. Okay. Oh, it's still going. It's fine. It's still going. You clip your center And this is where I like to fluff up my bow by just taking it and spreading apart on either side. Just play around with it until you like the way it looks. And now you have this cute little bow that can go in the center of a wreath or even on your kitchen counter or your cabinets on the door, and it's reversible. So the one side will be Christmas and this side is fall. Now that you have your finished bow, please tag me and all your mates, and I hope you enjoyed and have a blessed day, and don't forget to like and subscribe at Mad Lips Designs. Thank you.